First off, congratulations to the Buffalo Sabres for winning this past weekend's draft lottery and being able to pick #1 overall in this coming NHL draft. So pretty much I think it's obvious to say that with that #1 overall pick, the Buffalo Sabres are going to be taking the potential franchise defenseman Rasmus Dahlin with that pick. So with them picking Rasmus Dahlin and potentially joining the NHL team right away, in NHL 18, we're going to see if adding Rasmus Dahlin to the Buffalo Sabres roster will actually be able to get that team to the playoffs. Let's find out. Hey guys, what is going on today? Bojo here, back in NHL 18 franchise mode to do another little test simulation, this time seeing if Rasmus Dahlin will be able to help those Buffalo Sabres make it to the playoffs here in year #2 in a franchise mode. So if you guys wouldn't mind, make sure to go down to the comment section down below. Make sure to leave a comment for suggestions you guys would like to see. Also, make sure to leave a like and hit that notification button so you guys are aware of when a new video is out. So as I mentioned, this is going to be starting from year #2 in franchise mode. I've already simulated a year with the Buffalo Sabres. I'll tell you guys how that first year went in a minute, but I thought this would be a lot easier to do instead of just creating a whole new Rasmus Dahlin create a player and adding him to the Buffalo Sabres. So I thought we would just simulate through a whole first year. However, the Buffalo Sabres ended up trade for the #1 overall pick and draft Rasmus Dahlin. Much easier because you really can't move him around from team to team because he's under the age of 18 and you can only move him to CHL teams, can't move him to NHL teams. So the first year for the Buffalo Sabres actually ended up going pretty well. They made the playoffs and they got knocked out in round #2 by the Tampa Bay Lightning. Having that first year and having the Buffalo Sabres make it to the playoffs actually really helped us out a good bit because a lot of the younger players in the Buffalo Sabres are going to be getting those overall increases here for year #2, and we can use Rasmus Dahlin right away on our roster. So we are interested in seeing how the Buffalo Sabres are going to perform this year, but once again, all eyes are going to be on this guy right here, the 18-year-old medium elite potential two-way defender, Rasmus Dahlin. First overall pick from the Buffalo Sabres this year. He's already starting out in the EA's game as a 78 overall. He is top 6 role for the defense, and that's exactly where he is going to be playing on this team. He fits really well into the Buffalo Sabres defense core with Rasmus Dahlin already being a 90 overall after the first year of simulation, which is going to be rounded out pretty well. He's the top guy on the team right now. Everybody else, other defenders are pretty mediocre, but hey, if this team made the playoffs in year #1, hopefully they'll be able to make it in year #2. Okay, so let me show you guys the team that we are going to be working with here in year #2 for the Buffalo Sabres with all the overall increases. There are a couple guys that have gotten some overall boosts, but on line #1, we're going to have Sam Reinhart at a 83. He got a couple little boosts right there. Jack Eichel up to a 90, and Kyle Okposo up to an 84. Second line, left winger is kind of weak there, but Scott Wilson will be there on line #2. Ryan O'Reilly in the center, and Jason Palmaville on the right. Line #3, we're going to have Alex Nylander, so he got a nice little boost. I think maybe 1 or 2 overall points of an increase, but it's still good enough to make the NHL squad. So Alex Nylander is going to be on the third line left wing. Casey Middlestat is going to be in the middle, and Johan Larsson on the right side. And then fourth line, we're going to have Justin Bailey, Zemgus Girgensons, and Seth Griffith there on line #4. I believe the only scratched player is Matt Molson, so we could technically put him in over Josh Bailey if we wanted to, but I'm going to opt against it. I think they're just trying to bury that cap as much as possible. And then the defensive scratches are going to be Victor Antipin and Matt Tennyson. But defensively, they're going to look like Zach Bogosian and Rasmus Ristolainen's already up to a 90. So I think he got like 2 overall point boosts after year #1. So that's really good for him. That's Marco Scandella and Jake McCabe, Nathan Beaulieu, and then Rasmus Dahlin right there on the third pair. I believe he is going to get power play time as well. Yes, he is on the second line power play. He's not going to get any extra attackers. Goaltenders, Robin Lehner and Chad Johnson. Lehner actually went up to an 84 from an 83 last year as well. We don't care about how the AHL teams perform. We only care about these guys. All right, with all that being done, I say let's get started with our simulations here. Let's bring it all the way to, let's say, the All-Star break. Why not? That's actually the trade deadline. So let's bring it to like the All-Star break, which is going to be right around... probably January-ish. Let's go to the end of December up to the beginning of 2019. Okay, guys, so we have simulated up to the halfway point so far, 42 games in. And unfortunately, the team's not doing too hot. 17, 19, and 5 so far. As for their standings in the Atlantic Division, they are in last place, 2 points behind Boston for 41 points. Wild card right now is being held by the Philadelphia Flyers at 49 points. So we are 10 points behind that. We are going to have to go on a hell of a run in order to make that happen. But so far, it doesn't look like it's looking like odds are in our favor for the team to make the playoffs at this point. But you never know. Still got 42 more games to go through here. Take a quick look at the point totals so far. Jack Eichel with 38 points in 41 games, already up to 23 goals, which is nice. Sam Reinhart up to 31. Okposo and O'Reilly both have 27. Middlestat with 25. Pominville 22. Larson 12. Scott Wilson, Larson with 14. Wilson with 12. Nylander with 11. Gergensons with 10. Josh Bailey with 7. And Seth Griffith with 6. As we look at the defenders right there, Rasmus Dahlin pulling it through, 27 points. Dahlin only 2 points so far this year. He is up to a 79 overall, which is nice. So he did get 1 overall point boost, but only 2 assists so far this year, minus 11. Not looking too hot there for Dahlin so far. And goaltending wise, Lehner 14, 13, and 3. Chad Johnson 6, 3, and 2. Johnson's save percentage is not good. Lehner's save percentage is okay, .909 goals against right there, and not looking too hot. And Lehner does have 1 assist on the year. So far, it doesn't look like the Sabres are going to be making the playoffs here, but let's just see. I'll take it to maybe around like 60 games or so, and then we'll take it from there. So, an interesting trade just popped up. I would get Rupsov and T. Smith from the Flyers and a 4th in exchange for Okposo, Bogosian, and 2 fourths. If I was doing a TDI accept all trades, I would definitely be accepting this, but no thanks, Philly. As much as I want Rupsov and rid of $11 million in cap space, I'll pass. Alright guys, so we're down to, I believe, the last 2 weeks of the season coming up here, the final 8 games, and honestly, the team wasn't looking too good before the trade deadline, but after the trade deadline has come, this team has gone pretty good. I think they've gone 9-2-1 ever since the trade deadline has passed. So they went on a pretty long win streak right here. They got 4 in a row, then they won 4 in a row again before taking a loss and have started another win streak. So they've gotten 2 separate 4-game winning streaks, which definitely helps out the team a lot. And we'll check out the standings, as you guys can see, in the Atlantic Division. They're at 79 points. The Maple Leafs have 85, and the Montreal Canadiens have 87. So I believe, yeah, so a lot of teams have like 85 points, which is the wild card at the moment. So they're not too far off. They definitely still need to keep winning games to stay in contention. They're only 6 points out, which is 3 games, and they do have 2 games against the Toronto Maple Leafs, which could really help out. Same thing with the Montreal Canadiens. So those games are going to be really, really clutch here in the final back part of this season. So let's see. Let's take it 1 game at a time, shall we? We'll see if they, you know, if they continue to get pretty close here. That win over Nashville is huge. Chicago now. Let's see if they can pull out a W there. They do, 2-0 as well. Okay, Buffalo, I see you guys here. Now these games are really important right here. Toronto and Montreal. They definitely need to get the wins here against those 2 teams. 4-0 loss against the Leafs hurts, and a 2-0 loss against the Habs hurts. So I think that might have just killed their playoff chances right there, because those are just like 4-point games they could have made up on. They do beat the Penguins 4-2. They beat the Leafs that time, and they beat the Montreal Canadiens that time as well. Okay, so they're at 41, 33, and 7. So they get those 2 points back from the loss, from those 2 losses. Imagine if they would have beaten both of those teams. They're at 89 points right now, with the last game being the Tampa Bay Lightning. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be able to catch it. They might just be very, they might be ever so short. Yet the Philadelphia Flyers are holding on to that last wild card spot with 93 points, and there's no possible way the Buffalo Sabres can catch up to 93. Most they can get is 91. So unfortunately, the Sabres are just going to come ever so close to making the playoffs here in year number 2. Like I said, in my first year simulation with the team, they made it all the way to the second round of the playoffs. They do win that game against Tampa. So those games against Toronto and Montreal, those 2 that they lost, the only 2 games that they lost there in those last 2 weeks, proved to be really crucial, because if Toronto doesn't get those 2 points, they go down to 93. We go up to 93, and one of those spots could have been up for grabs for the Buffalo Sabres to get that last wildcard spot. But unfortunately, they will fall just a little bit short. As you guys can see, nobody from the Metro other than the top 3 made it. 95 points held on by the Maple Leafs and the Senators to make it into the playoffs. So in a very unfortunate end to the season, as you guys could see, but we'll take a final look at the stats right here. Jack Eichel was 1 goal away from a 40-goal season, so that's really awesome to see from him. 68 points though nonetheless. 63 for Ryan O'Reilly, 60 points for Sam Reinhart on the first line is also really good. Pominville had 57, so that's pretty damn good for him as well, being an 82. Okposo at 46, Middlestat with 43, that's a pretty damn good point total from him as well. Wilson 35, Larson 30, Nylander with 21, Gergensons with 20, Bailey and Griffith both each had 14. And then defensively, we have Rasmus Dahlin with 61 points on the year, Beaulieu with 19, McCabe and Bogosian both had 11, Scandella with 9, and then the boy Rasmus Dahlin right there, 3 goals, 4 assists for 7 points on the year, minus 11. I definitely doubt he would get those point totals in a real life NHL. This guy is absolutely a stud, and I would assume he would probably get, he's not going to get Ristolainen numbers, but maybe like 20, 30, 40 point season I could expect out of him. That'd be pretty awesome. And then goaltenders, as you guys can see right there, Laner proved it, man. He pulled his way at the back half of that season, 37, 23, and 4. Johnson 5, 10, and 3. Save percentage of .921, 2.45 goals against. So Laner definitely turned it up there in the back half of the season. Got 3 assists on the year as well, which is awesome. But unfortunately, the Buffalo Sabres just fall ever so short of missing the playoffs. So even with getting Rasmus Dahlin and that #1 overall draft pick in this coming year's NHL draft, it looks like the Buffalo Sabres will be competing for a playoff spot in next year's NHL season, but looks like they might just fall a little bit too short. I still think that Atlantic Division is going to be a little bit too tough when you have Tampa Bay, Toronto. I think Florida is going to be a much better team next year. Boston, even though they missed it in this simulation, they're still going to be a really amazing team. They can maybe Buffalo fight for a wild card spot in there, but might be able to miss out a little bit too short just because we know how stacked the Metro Division is, especially now that Carolina moves up to #2 as well. So thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like down below. Make sure to comment, like I said, and leave some suggestions for other videos you guys would like to see. Dahlin will be a part of the Buffalo Sabres, but will just fall a little bit too short. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.